Good evening, everybody. Welcome in to episode 18 of the Fuzed Relativity podcast here on July 3rd. Good old Independence Day Eve. How's everybody doing tonight?
18. Great. We can vote now. We can now vote that Fuse Relativity is one of the greatest podcasts ever, at least in the top billion for sure.
Milestones. Small steps.
Let's not get too big for our britches, but let's celebrate the small victories, guys. Yay. 18.
Well, I see you got Dog Dad as your name this week. Fortunately, that's pretty self-explanatory.
Well, and it's kind of like an uncomfortable title. Like at the dog park, they throw that at, oh, your dad, that's your daddy, and I'm like, even that, I'm like, I'm a little uncomfortable. It's a lot of, we're more roommates. You know what I mean? Like it's, I don't know. It just seems like if she's eating something, I'm like, what are you eating? Just like with a roommate, I'm like, cardboard tube. I'm like, okay, that's fine. But if it was rat poison, I was taken away from you, just like a good roommate.
Well, there you go. John, how are you doing?
Yeah, so.
Same old, same old.
In Spanish, that's a C, in Mexicana.
Nothing else? All right.
Yeah.
Well, it is. Tomorrow is the 4th of July, Independence Day, one of my favorite holidays of the year. It's summertime. You get to pig out on barbecue, celebrate the birth of our wonderful country where we're allowed to say pretty much whatever we want and come on this podcast every week and ramble for an hour and 15 minutes. It's a lot of fun.
My yay, and our birthday and everything. My kind of big beef with our Independence Day is we celebrate by going and hanging out with a bunch of other people. Totally missing the point of See, that's my 4th of July joke that never works, but I have to say it every year because when else are you going to? But
well, I mean, I guess if you spent your 4th of July with a bunch of redcoats, that would be, I could see that one being a little bit of a bummer.
No, but just you should just hang out. You should just isolate, like the holiday says. It's not Dependent Day.
See, I would agree.
See, I knew the shut-in who never sees sun and looks like Uncle Fester. He's got my back, right, John? Take it. Get
yes.
Hey, my only curmudgeon-y thing on 4th of July is if it's 11 at night, stop shooting fireworks.
Enough. There should be a cutoff. There's an old person. I have to sleep. There's stuff to do. 11 o'clock. That seems fair.
Yeah, 11 is, come on. If it's past 11 o'clock and you're shooting fireworks.
Well, to me, it's amazing. It's like the week up before is like they got to practice. They got to like fire off a couple ones to remember how to do it. Like, and then like there's always I forgot to shoot them off. So it seems like it's my dog hates the week of 4th. Just like she's under the bed the whole time. Like we're out for a walk and nope, we're going back. I'm like, all right, we're hiding under the bed. Let's do that.
Well, I like the going back. We talked about nostalgia a couple weeks ago and talked about movies. And I always like to watch Independence Day around this time, which is a pretty classic movie.
Oh, yeah, John, the big speech at the end. That's a good rousing. Let's go get them, guys. And it's just because it's like, everybody watching that movie is from planet Earth. So when they go, hey, let's go save Earth, everyone's like, yeah. Like when people used to band together and not hate each other. That was back in the day, in the 90s.
Yeah.
Way back then.
But that's, it's one of those movies you can watch and you feel good and you think the aliens are going to win. And then, you get the nice rousing speech and they figure out how to take down the shields and
yeah, it's the unity. We came together, we overcame. It's inspiring, and the music, they know how to tug on your heartstrings. They know how to do it. Just I don't know, there's certain movies around, even like Armageddon or something, like let's go blow up the thing to save, and like, oh my god, Bruce Willis is gonna for the whole humanity, and you're like, yay.
The only downside is they make you want to root for Randy Quaid. and that's, you know.
Other than Uncle, who was in the vacation movies, I will stand by Randy Quaid. But other
Uncle
than
Eddie. Yeah.
Uncle, come on, in their Christmas Vacation in the first one, oh, just brilliant, so funny. If you haven't seen it, stop listening to this podcast and go watch one of the vacation movies and enjoy, and then come back and say you're right.
No thoughts or comments, John?
Not really.
All right. Well, we can see where John's head's at this evening. But 4th of July, Kirk, you know, what's seriously like, what's your favorite part of the holiday?
You know what, the food. I'm a barbecue guy. Just kind of like walking around, in like possibly sandals, like in walking in like thick, cooling grass, and then chit chat with people. That was my favorite part. You know, fireworks are good and stuff, but it just seemed like you can food. It was like a reason to gather with food and people and just kind of, I don't know, shoot the shit.
And then you get to see fireworks at the end of the night, which I don't care how old you are, it's still cool to see some fireworks go off.
Yeah, they have colors and they fizz and they bang, and yeah.
As long as it's before 11 o'clock.
Yes, get those fireworks off my lawn. All right, old man, whatever.
Well, you know, happy birthday, America. We touched on that, you know.
Oh yeah, well, so what did you get, America? I bet I got it a gift card to Applebee's, and then I got it. I made it an IOU because I'm a little short right now because the economy's I hope it got healthcare. That's what I hope America got. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-boom.
All right. You know. Well, so we all know that America was fought for. You know, we had to go to war to get our independence from Britain, and it kind of ties into what, you know, John was wanting to talk about this week, which was the future of war. So, John, you take it away.
So let me get your guys' thoughts. What do you think we will ever have a global conflict again?
Yes and no.
That's both answers. That is a non-answer. Both answers.
Well, it's kind of a loaded question because I think that there's a very high possibility that we could have another global conflict. The problem is that everybody in the globe relies on each other economically, and you know, all of our weapons are so big and bad now that pretty much any global conflict is going to be pretty much the end.
What do you think about this theory of sort of us leaving finally, and for 20 years leaving Afghanistan? Like that is sort of the last chapter of the last big boots on the ground occupation. Like from that here on out, it's more of the cyber stuff. It seems the way it's going.
And that's kind of my point is we're kind of getting way past troops.
They're already doing it. They've invaded, like how many, we've already been hit twice, and there's, I heard it, there's a ransomware attack, and it seems like it's not going away. It seems like it's picking up. Like this is the future, right?
Yeah, but I mean, sure, there's going to be government-backed acts and all that stuff, but it's also just private. Or I should say private citizens doing it. And not some...
The question then, I'm assuming that are you speaking more towards the idea that wars from here will be cyber in the sense of computers, or cyber in the sense of robotics?
Both. I mean, we already have a massive drone fleet. I mean, what reason would... So my thought on this was public backlash is only going to get more and more prominent against wars that no one wants to be in. And when you couple that with the fact that, you know, we have drones and everything else, it just doesn't. I don't think we will ever see a true global
I think,
conflict, or even necessarily a true war.
well, I think just the population, like we're getting more sedentary, more computers, and there's more people, A, that want to join the military, and B, actually are physically fit to do. You know, these people are not going to be running around. Like, it's just people are getting more sedentary, and so it just seems like there's not a lot. Like, if there was a draft today, there'd be a lot of last round picks. The majority of young people nowadays, I'd say, would be last round picks if it was like 1950s.
So yeah, I would disagree with that. But, I also see a lot of, I mean, I live in military central down here. And I mean, just in general, Colorado is not exactly the best place to go or to judge that by, thing is how we were, I don't even remember. It was one of the fittest states in the country.
With the high altitude and all the hiking trails and biking trails, yeah, it seems like Colorado is definitely on the healthier side for sure.
But I mean, my thought is, like, if we look back through history, there's always been wars, up until the Cold War. And yes, there's been wars after that, but if you look at the scale, and this is something I've seen on a lot of videos I've been watching, but it's all, US or Russia or China backing a smaller country to fight a country that, we're backed.
Right. That's been happening for, yes.
And that's been the majority of wars lately. But after Vietnam, sure, we had the Afghanistan and all of that, but it wasn't. I mean, yes, it was a war, but it's not like we were fighting a country.
Well, like when Russia invaded Afghanistan back in like the 70s, US was funneling money to whoever the Taliban was at the time fighting against Russia to keep going with them, just to keep them in a quagmire. And then like the same thing happened with us, but I think it was China funneling, you know what I mean? Where it's just, let's just keep them bogged down. We'll feed them money in like Korea to keep the Communist Party going. And we'll just send Chinese troops through. So it's a never ending. So you're not going to win this war. We're going to outlast you.
Yeah. And it's just, I just don't see even that going for too much longer because, and like I said, public interest. Like it's shifting even during Vietnam, and Vietnam was a prime example of people, just getting fed up with war. And I think
they saw it on their television. They saw the body count. They saw the body bags. Like it was a part of their day for years, and it's just like, why are we here? They got fed up.
And that was, and that's kind of my point, is with the rapid speed of communication, like it would be very hard for any well, what would be a good way to describe
So you're saying it's shrinking our attention span, but it's also shrinking our tolerance for length of wars. What you're saying?
And just the ability to fight them. Because
if you're seeing it all day, every day, you're going to get more annoyed quicker. So
yeah,
it makes sense.
And I just don't think that. Well, and just with trying to fight a war, it's not like World War I or II where you could do surprise attacks and do strategies. Nowadays, everyone's got phone, everyone's got video, everyone's got social media. You can't sneak a squadron of troops anywhere without at least someone being or knowing where they are.
So this is my interjection here is that it's an interesting topic because there's so many different ways to look at it, because there's, I mean, your perspective there versus the idea of, let's say, the military industrial complex, which centers all around money. And I feel like no matter what the case is, if money is a driving factor, which a lot of times it is, there's going to be a way to make a war. And whether it be with robots or cyber attacks or whatever, they're going to find a way to do it, and they're not going away.
Right. Well, they're
Well,
not gonna if they're gonna spend all these money on these fancy toys to explode stuff, they're gonna figure out a way to use their toys. Or like if you give them $80 bazillion, then they're gonna go what every to the man with the hammer, everything's a nail kind of thing. Like let's use the military. I don't know. It's almost like it seems like a lot of the police situation now. A lot of times it could be social workers sent in or something. It's like they're dealing with people with mental illness. That's not a cop arresting somebody situation. That's somebody kind of from the accounts are going, hey, we doing okay. Let's figure out how we can help. You know what I mean? It just seems
yeah.
like if all of your spending is that, you're going to use it, but it's become too bloated and like they have weapons and tanks that they go, we literally don't need this. We have no use for this, but it helps some congressman's district, so he created jobs. So, yay!
Well,
And that's
oh, go ahead,
go
Chris.
ahead. I was just going to say that's what I'm kind of speaking towards is as long as money is a driving factor, which, the more money the government can funnel into military, the more money they get. And so, it's one of those things where you could fight it and say, oh, yeah, there's going to be no more wars because people are tired of fighting them or whatever it may be. But as long as money's to be made, somebody somewhere is going to cause a problem.
Well, but there's also the fact that, and again, this ties into social media and just the world in general. Like, people are everywhere. We're not necessarily bogged down to, oh, we're American. There's tons of other countries' people living in America and vice versa, And this was one of the videos I watched recently was about, I'm trying to remember this accurately now, but it was Napoleon. And, when he came back, the people were just like, oh, yeah, let's join him instead. But my point is that even if, like, our biggest potential threat right now would be China, would you agree?
China or North Korea, one of the two.
Yeah.
We owe money. They have a lot of they're good at cyber attacking. They have a lot of military, so yeah, they're up there.
Yeah, but what would happen if China decided to declare war?
Well, it's almost like we're so indebted to them. It's a financial move, so they don't want to explode us because then we can't kick them the cash we owe them. It almost seems like that's our big safety net right now. Is like, look, if you blow us up, you're going to have to eat that couple billion.
Well, but the thing is, I see your point, and just from my perspective, if China declared war tomorrow, goodbye, Earth.
Well, and I don't think that would be true either, because there's no beneficial reason for nuking everything.
I just hope it doesn't affect the fortune cookie industry. That would, because those always cheer me up. Most of the time, it's not even a fortune. Anyway,
but
sidebar.
My point being is that if China were to decide, you know what, we're spreading communism and declare war, they wouldn't have a ton of backers. Like, yeah, sure, North Korea might jump in and be like, hey, we can do something. They can't, but
yes, there would be, many problems because half the world would say, I don't think so.
Well, and just the logistics of it for China to do, even if China, had a bunch of backing and decided, well, maybe not us, maybe Russia. I mean, it would still be, well, I guess China's a bad example in that because they have a very strict and restrictive social media. But
I think, to be honest, I don't think the throwing off the financial system, because their economy is growing. Like, they have the middle class. It's like it's working for them. So it's like they don't want to interrupt it with war. And I just think the financial decisions of countries, the the downside of actually fighting a physical war is just too great, so they're gonna, I don't know, figure a way to avoid it.
And I think that's because if it wasn't the case, like China likely would have already attacked us, or attacked someone. I mean, sure they're trying, but even then, things are it's just posturing, like with Russia and the Dutch.
It's like cyber attacking. They don't even consider it. It's that's the new thing, but people they don't seem as offended yet as like somebody dropping a bomb on America, if somebody cyber attacking America. It just does. I don't think it has the same.
Well,
just urgency or body count. Maybe that's what it doesn't have. Like casualty numbers yet.
But even then, it's easy to say. For Russia, I'm sure to say, yeah, that wasn't us.
There's always deniability, right?
Yeah, because it's at the end of the day, it's just a computer attack. If you can't figure out who did it and only have a guess, then
it seems like it's hard to retrace, and they try to block it, and so so it's they almost like they go, we have a guess that Russia did it, and then Russia goes, no, we didn't, but they might have, what I mean? Like they just don't seem to be. They're not going to tell you, yes, we're attacking you. That would seem stupid. That seems. I'm not a war general, a military mind by say, but if they don't know you're attacking them, that seems like that'd be the way to go.
Well, going back to the the cyber aspect of it, I did see that the military is working on like Guardian suits for the troops to wear, like robotic armor, basically.
Well,
and so they're kind of trying to get into the technology-based battle rather than relying on humans.
Like getting closer to Iron Man, like Iron Man, or are we talking
pretty much.
What? Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
But see, and even then, I think it's just going to become a, hey, you don't want to do anything with us because we have this. It's the Cold War all over again. It's just now, instead of it being U.S. and Russia, it's the whole world.
And it's just computer systems. We'll screw up your computer system that can controls your power system, your economy, your banking system, whatever hurts you most. And all right, we won't do that if you won't do that, right? I mean, it's exactly like the Cold War. That's a good analogy.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think you're right, John. I think most of everything that happens right now is all just muscle flexing. Like, you want to be the biggest, baddest, roughest, toughest dude in the bar. And so you're going to make people think. But if it came down to, hey, you want to go to the parking lot, you're going to be like, oh, no, man, I'm cool.
Does it bother you that the roughest, toughest guy is now a computer nerd? Chris, calm down. It bugs you. Like all the jocks who bullied the nerds, and nerds are like, haha, I'm the tough guy now. I think that's what's happening. Computer geeks have sucked us into their world. I'm halfway starting to play Dungeons and Dragons, and I don't know why. I hate it.
They got you that quick, huh?
No, you know what? I don't get it. There's a die and it's got several. That's all I figured out. So I don't know. I'm just not. If that's your jam, it's like when you discover a new world. You're like, oh wow, I had no idea this. There's a lot of people geeking out on this instead of fantasy football or whatever they do.
So, what do you think the ultimate end game is here, John? As far as future of war, like where's your brain taking you as far as where we're going to be in 20 years?
I just don't think we'll see anything like massively troop related probably ever again. Like, sure, there's always going to be conflicts that America or whoever will get into will help out.
Minor skirmishes, so to speak.
Or, like rebellions or stuff like that. I just don't think there will ever be another, like, classically defined war. Unless something, completely goes off the rails, or
And I think before it goes to full robot fighting, I think there's going to be a middle section, a transition period where it just goes back to pink bellies.
But I mean,
that's my theory.
look at
I
North
stand by
Korea.
that.
They've
They're
been
more
and
of
all
a
their
purple.
pink bellies.
They're more of a purple nurple system. I heard that's how they crack down on that.
I mean, if you look at North Korea's been threatening war for how long?
It's kind of almost like white, like all right already, just shit or get off the pot.
Like, sure, they have nukes, but
they have to use a slingshot. They don't have the.
All their missile tests fail.
We're gonna throw our nuclear weapon as far as we can. Yeah, good luck with that. That's gonna splash down on the beach.
See, like, even if they decided or somehow successfully set off a nuke, the retaliation would be so swift and non-nuclear, it wouldn't matter.
Seems like it's death by suicide or something. They did that because they knew they would just get obliterated if they ever tried anything with a big country. Yeah, it would seem like a death wish.
Because all it would take would be the U.S. or Japan or Korea even just to start, laying into them with bombs, just regular bombs, and before probably the week was out, all of the, I can't even remember his name. Is it Kim Jong?
Yep.
Kim Jong-un.
Yeah. All of the top political people would be dead within a week.
Well, and that's what's keeping everybody in check. Like we've just kind of been bouncing around, is if one country can't decide to take action against anybody because they're not going to make it. So, yes, in that sense, it could be that we're just far enough along to where there really just won't be any more wars in the traditional sense based off of that reason.
Right, and I think that's where the cyber, because once again, it's not a full invasion, it's not murdering people, so I think it's less. Like I said, there's not going to be. You're not going to cyber attack somebody and then they're going to start bombing you. I think it's more of a tit for tat. Like everyone's going to be. The move is to build up your computer nerdery to then break into the other guy's system faster.
Yeah.
But I didn't mean, no offense to computer nerds out there. That's the best way I could say it.
But I mean, it is just going to go cyber. And because even now, every time an incident happens with the military, everyone is, justifiably, or depending on how you look at it, upset because why the hell is this still going on? Like with Afghanistan, we've been there for 20 years.
Right. And it didn't work for Russia, and like way back even before like England invaded. It seems like countries don't like getting invaded. They're not going to give up, or you know what I mean? Like it's their country, so they're going to defend it. So you're already fighting a losing battle of time.
Go ahead and ask Poland about that.
What?
They were very good at just surrendering.
Well, okay, Afghanistan is there. They are good at not surrendering. They will fight with you. They're like, oh, you want to come over? You want to come over and fight? All right, let's fight.
Well,
and it would be the same here. Like if China declared war and somehow managed to get, a ton of people or a ton of Chinese to America to, start an invasion, they wouldn't necessarily get very far.
I don't know if we'd all buddy up. I think Fox News would have us like, no, this is Biden's fault, and it's going to be I don't think we're the United States anymore. I don't think people. I honestly question whether people would band together and try to help, as opposed to still rooting for their tribe.
Let's say, for the sake of the 4th of July and my sanity, that yes, we would all take care of business.
All right, so you're an optimist then. That's good. Well, it's good to be optimistic on the 4th of July.
See, and I would agree as well. It's like the thing is look at, so you're saying we wouldn't get united and behind someone, but we have behind something. But we have September 11th. And that, that was an overwhelming, hey, screw those guys.
Right. But I think it's just gotten worse. It's just gotten more tribal. Like, I really think it's to that point where I could see it kind
Well,
of going,
no, because there's too much sheeping going on in the country. It's easy to jump behind something. So all it takes is one group to say, let's go America, and then you're gonna have, you know, most everybody jumping on the bandwagon of let's go. It would be
we
fine.
need we need a uniting. We need a miracle on ice.
World War
we need
III.
something. No, realize a non-war, some sort of sporting event. Something has to have to happen in the Olympics or something. You know what I mean? There has to be a Rudy moment to band us all together again.
Or we'll just fight it out on Mars with the rovers.
You think we're gonna still be fighting on our way to Mars? Oh, you stupid son! Yeah,
Well,
come on. We're all on the same team here.
See, and
I mean, follow me on this, John. You might get a kick out of this. What if all of this work that we've been doing with these rovers and China's rovers is just to film a really cool BattleBots episode?
see, that would be awesome.
Money well spent. I think
Yeah.
there's no one's going to argue with that on that one.
Especially since the rover's the size of a truck.
Yeah, I mean, all of a sudden they get in an arena and there's Michael Buffer's up there.
Let's get ready to rumble.
And then, they start throwing flamethrowers and saws. That'd be badass.
And one of them gets disqualified because she was actually oiled with hash oil by mistake. And then they ban her, just like the sprinter lady. That's a bummer.
Yeah. So, speaking of Mars, I read today that Ingenuity is going to do its 9th flight tomorrow evening. And seems fitting for something 4th of July to get a nice flight, which they said is going to be actually this is going to be like the major test for the helicopter, because they're going to fly it farther, faster, and longer than they've done, and it's going to not fly over flat terrain, which is something that they don't really know how the navigation's going to work because of the pictures that are coming back from the flight camera. And so it'll be an interesting test to see if this thing does what it's supposed to do. I'm sure they have a decent idea of how it'll perform, but it's going to fly fast, it's going to fly high, and it's going to fly far.
So with the terrain changing, there's a risk of it like clipping or something, like a rock or something, is what they're thinking.
Well, it uses to navigate, it uses a downward facing camera that takes pictures of the terrain, and that kind of tells it where to go, how to navigate the terrain.
Mm-hmm.
But because of the undulations, because it's flying over like a dune field,
okay.
And so there's, different sizes. And as it's getting its pictures back, because it's not flat, they were a little worried that it would mess with the programming and it wouldn't really know how to handle it. So it'll be interesting to see how it does, as far as a flight. I mean, I hope it does well, because if it doesn't, that might be the end of the helicopter.
Right. But John, I've heard that the camera technology is 10 times greater than a Polaroid. Can you confirm or deny that?
That depends on who you ask, because a lot of people are much more pro film than digital.
So they don't shake it like a Polaroid picture?
Well, they might. We don't know the answer to that, Kirk.
By the way, I think that was such a poor reading of the lyrics. There's no copyright infringement. You know what I mean? I so butchered it. They're like, wait, no one's gonna try to sue us and take us down. That's taking money away from the Black Eyed Peas. Let them. They're not gonna recognize.
But with the helicopter, we're starting to see some really cool pictures, and this they're going to try and take some cool pictures of the dunes as they fly over. And that's something that they're excited about because there's no way that the rover could manage these, hills and dunes. So this is the only way we're going to get a picture of these things as it flies over.
And I've already heard there's a rumor the first picture is going to be of a drunken redneck surfing a piece of plywood. Is what I heard. It's going to be sailing down the dunes.
It could happen. We'll see.
It's bound to. It'll happen eventually.
But that led me.
Oh, I was just gonna
John?
say, I just had to look because he brought it up. Polaroids still a thing.
Yeah. He was Googling during the show.
Yes. Tiffany actually has a newer Polaroid camera.
A newer Polaroid?
Yeah, it's actually, it's a thing. They came back out with Polaroids, and you take the picture and you shake it, and yeah. But going back so I was thinking about it, and we came across a story this week with the flying on Mars. That's huge, and very futuristic flight on another planet. And now they had a successful car flight here.
Yes.
It was in Slovakia, I think. Probably one of those.
Give it up for the
countries.
Fighting Slovakians. That's their high
Yes.
school team. Everybody roots for them.
But they have a car that transforms from vehicle to airplane, and they had a successful 37-minute flight from one city to another city. And I saw the video. I mean, it's amazing because, well, it's a flying car, which people have been predicting for, 100 years. And now, because of it, they're actually predicting that we might have flying cars by 2030.
If that comes, like, can we at least agree you have to be over 40 to drive it? No idiot flying car planes.
So
no offense, 20-year-olds, but you don't have the responsibility powers yet. Come on.
Here's the thing with that. That vehicle might work and might go into production. It's just going to be for pilots. Because, I mean, even today, just hitting a pothole would be horrific for that plane. Because planes in general have to go through tons of safety and whatnot just to make sure they can fly.
So it's just going to be pilots flying to work to get into they're going to commute in their car plane?
Probably.
Well,
yeah.
and honestly, you still have to have a runway to land, so it's not
And
like you would,
Yeah, that's the other issue. Is it still requires runways, and in all, because I was reading a bunch on a thread about it, and it's a cool concept, but it's more meant
practical.
Yeah, if it's the only use that it could potentially be would be hopping airports in something small and
just basically a taxi that flies.
Yeah, because you can
flying between airports back and forth.
Yeah.
Huh.
Because realistically, if flying cars were to come about, it's not going to be that. It's going to be a variation of a drone. Because it's the safety features, the redundancies that can be built in, the technology that could be used is going to be greater on something that has, flies like a helicopter versus something that flies like a plane.
Well, and what about, do you guys remember the aqua car? Do you remember the car that could also be a boat? Remember how popular that was? I mean,
it's still popular.
It seems like a fad. It seems like a small. I don't know. What are the odds? It's not. It's just like the aqua car, where a couple years later, nobody really. It's a blip.
Well, yeah, it's gonna be a blip because it's not something designed for the main populace.
I'm not an early adopter because I think that just safety wise, it's not smart. If you had pilots operating these things, that's one thing, but certainly you can't market this to the masses because, I mean, the crash ability of something like that is too high.
Crash
Well,
ability.
and
Right.
like I
Yeah.
said, it's
Yep.
you're driving down the road, hit a pothole, and it messes up the propeller or
Flux
something.
capacitor.
Yeah, and then you try and take off and crash. It's that's going to be very limited to just airports.
Right. Well, actually, you know what the latest feature that they're working on? Have you heard this? Do you want to know what the newest thing?
What's that?
It's they're working on putting a toilet in the car that actually has a release valve, so cars can shit on birds. Just because payback's a bitch. Am I right? Payback's a bitch, birds. There's shit coming for you. You're overdue. That could have been made up.
I'm I'm all for it.
Well, good. And also, by the way, you're gonna have to up your bumper sticker game. You're gonna have to get one of those big banners to trail. You know what I mean? Just so you look up in the sky and there's like a "Who farted," or you know what I mean? Like that'll be more fun.
Hey, we could have a Fuzed Relativity banner towing behind the flying car.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. A little self promotion. And I also too like the bumper sticker with the shiny pot leaf. Why broadcast to the police to pull you over and search your car? I never understood. It just didn't seem like a smart move.
Well, the other thought I had was, what happens in the flying car when you hit a goose?
It shits green on your windshield like everywhere else. Just shit. Giant.
I'm assuming it has the same glasses, and that's why I just don't think a vehicle like that would ever work.
Well, it might work at some point. Especially, my only thought is if you could have self-driving and self-flying cars to where people weren't involved in the
that
driving.
That's what I meant with the drone like car, because that's the only way it will ever work is if people aren't allowed to actually fly them.
Right, but it would be cool if you could ease up traffic. If half the cars were flying and half the cars were driving, that would make more sense because you would have a lot freer roadways. But
they would have to be like on a computer system, like on a home, like bringing them home because you don't trust the average person to not be an idiot. I agree.
Drones these days can do just that. You can plot in a waypoint system and it'll, follow that.
Punch in coordinates.
Yeah.
Essentially.
And the biggest downside is going to be range, because even with something like a Tesla battery or even the concepts that are out there that are flying, that are just, they're a flying car, they don't have more than about 30-40 minutes of flight time at most. I think the one I saw was like 30 at the max.
So they got to get the technology has to get better. The price has to come down before it becomes more of a feasible thing. Like right now, it's still in the just kind of ironing out the bugs phase, so to speak.
Well, it's just capacity. You run into the problem of, well, you need more battery, but battery's extremely heavy, which means you need more lift.
Need power, which means you need more batteries. Yeah.
So there's that, until some magical breakthrough comes through with batteries that make them super high capacity and very light, there's always going to be a limit. And I would guess that for a car, it's going to be about 30-40 minutes of flight time, which is enough to get, to traverse a city and back in one trip. But that's about it.
Just like the electric cars were. The electric cars have got better. So I think it's the same. It's almost like whatever the electric car is doing, you'll see the car planes doing similar leaps coming soon.
Possibly, yeah. It depends on batteries.
Well,
have they thought about putting them in the fridge? I heard that helps.
guys, so I just got the word. As promised, I have
Do we have corn dogs? Is it corn dog time?
I have a blind corn dog taste test to do
Excellent.
live on air. Try not to chew into the microphone. And
so what? So this one is from Target, and it's what is it? Vegan? What are we dealing with here?
It is the vegetarian corn dog.
Vegetarian corn dog.
Morningstar Farms or something like that.
And then what's the regular run of the mill?
It is
that one?
State Fair corn dogs.
I was gonna.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Foster Farms.
Oh, I was gonna say Foster Farms. Yeah, with the honey.
Okay. I like how you associate state. I think state fairs is what you're going for with corn dogs. So that makes sense.
State Fair is a brand of corn dogs.
Well, it should be, because that's where you eat corn dogs. It's at the state fair. Is it spelled Fare like they're okay? No, it's and the state run of the mill. Don't set it's a corn dog, people. Enjoy it. Okay, so are we ready?
It's okay. All right, so I've got 2 corn dogs sitting in front of me. And some ketchup, because that's the best condiment for a corn dog. And we'll see if we can tell what we got here.
See, that's an odd condiment choice. I would have gone with Grey Poupon. Grey Poupon would be the right answer for corn dog. Maybe a little sriracha.
Corn dog number 1. Here we go.
All right. The tension is killing me. Oh my God. My heart, it may be the cholesterol gumming my arteries, but my heart is palpitating. It's in anticipation of the corn dog challenge.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of quiet time while he chews.
You know what? We should have told Chris not to eat the whole thing. It's gonna no longer just a bite. Take a bite of each. Don't eat. Damn, that's the
They're
stick.
both gone.
He ate. Oh my God! You're supposed to spit out the stick, stupid. Oh Jesus! You're gonna get splinters in his throat. That's not gonna be good for you.
Corn dog number 1 is down. And
the whole thing. How was it? What were
it wasn't the whole corn dog.
Okay, good. But you didn't vomit, so it wasn't that. So you held it down.
Like I said, the taste between the two is remarkably close.
Okay, so I got Tiffany standing here. I'm gonna go with this is vegetarian corn dog.
On number 2 or number 1?
Number 1 was vegetarian corn dog. Number 2 was real corn dog.
And you got it right?
I did. And what I'm going to tell you is, I'll give you this, John. The breading, like the corn dog part, or the corn part of the dog, tastes fine. It tastes like a normal corn dog breading.
The non-fake meat stuff is good. The fake meat stuff, I could do it. That's
the fake meat is terrible. It's very it honestly has very little flavor. It looks just looking at it, it looks
but I mean, as a whole, like even with a corn dog, you don't really taste the hot dog part of it.
I
disagree. Thank you.
Oh yeah, well done. Can we give it up for Tiffany for bringing in the hot dog for the hot dog challenge, the corn dog challenge?
So this is the thing, John. I'm gonna say that I do not want to eat the vegetarian corn dog again, because the hot dog, which is, you can't really screw up a hot dog. It's
it's processed.
It's already a bunch of gross stuff. Yeah.
Until you try and make it without meat, and then it is. It's like,
give me pig lips and entrails, but don't give me vegetarian.
Well, the only saving grace, because I just kind of pulled it apart, is it kind of looks like a hot dog.
See, and that's where I would have to disagree, because like me, my wife, and my daughter all had them, and we all agreed they were.
Well, you guys are wrong.
Yeah.
That's cool.
How is the texture? Because I've heard that they've worked hard on the texture, where that was a stumbling block that got better.
That was part of the problem. I mean, it's got a little bit of a snap like a hot dog, but it's certainly not the same texture as a hot dog.
Okay, so old man Chris is going with it felt different. I didn't care for it much. That's I reckon.
And it does not have that traditional hot dog flavor that you expect and love from a
See,
crappy
and
hot dog.
that's where because I thought it did, and
No.
maybe I just don't like.
You're-
I don't eat corn dogs as much as you, I'm guessing, but
I think that you are probably a little more open-minded on this. So
then that could be it too.
you may have a better opinion of fake hot dogs, but I love hot dogs, and that is not a hot dog.
All right.
So
A hot dog aficionado. The taste tests resoundingly. The vegetarian did not pass mustard or ketchup in Chris's.
I do
case.
not relish that corn dog.
He did not. His stamp of approval is not on that corn dog. That corn dog was officially not corny. But
But the breading, like I said, the breading was good. It was pretty spot on. So I might
Wow.
eat the breading around the hot dog. But
how was the stick? Did you eat the stick too? Did you forget? You didn't? Did you spit it out this time?
let's
See,
switch
I
topics.
was gonna say, I bet you Delilah would like it though.
Oh, that's
She's
not-
still new to hot dogs. She hasn't had a bunch yet. She's still open. She's a sponge.
So, that was our blind hot dog taste test. Honestly, I thought it was going to be worse. I figured I would spit it out, which I didn't want to finish the hot dog, so that says something. But on the other hand, okay. I mean, I see where they're going with it, but
Well, and this is
give me
just
a real, give me a
early.
real corn.
like when the like I can't even remember what it's called now. The meat we were talking about yesterday starts coming out, cultivated meats, and all the other stuff.
Or cultured. That's what you said. That's
Yeah.
what you're calling it.
Yeah, but I'll still eat meat. Give me regular meat.
Yeah. So not for Chris, but if you're wanting to try it, it didn't make him want to throw up. So a mixed review.
Yep. Not very and honestly the inside of the breading was a little red. So I don't know if they're using like a dye.
I'm assuming it's like beetroot juice is I think the popular one for making it look like meat.
Yeah. And I'm
But that was they're going for blood or something. Like those.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I really don't like beets, and the thought of that being that makes me want to puke.
So you're saying beat it to beats.
Yes. No, I said fuck beets.
Oh, okay then. It's more personal.
Yes, it's very personal. Well, I was going to go to the viewer question of the week. And this week's question is actually for Kirk.
Okay, all right. C. All the above. Okay, now I'll question first.
It was brought up that you were a comedian.
Right.
What was the hardest part about being a comedian? I'm assuming on the road. Like, what was the hardest part about doing that job?
Oh, being like a traveling road comic.
Yeah.
I mean, the driving. Like, I would do something called tribble runs, and sometimes it was a 6 to 8 hour drive to the next gig. So you'd wake up in, I don't know, Missoula, Montana on Tuesday, and then you'd have to go, 6-8 hours, find the club, and then just kind of do it again. So just that was a big part of it. Just sort of the driving and just trying to figure out a way to eke out a living. was difficult, but it was fun because you loved doing it. So it was worth the attempt because you could be in a cubicle instead. So might as well be out here like kind of socking it out. But yeah, just kind of and just figuring out how to select, not cater to the audience, not like pander to them to like say whatever to make them laugh, but like choosing the material that you have written and you have created, selecting the correct order that is going to please them. So it was kind of like and like it's people you've never met before. You've just pulled into their town 4 hours ago. You're trying to absorb any local information from like the check-in person or the bartender who runs the show to kind of, get local references. And just that amount of time, like, all right, and here we go. Let's try to make these people. Let's figure out where their funny bone is. It was a challenge, but it was fun.
And I'm assuming most of these, nothing against you as in your talent as a comedian, but I'm assuming a lot of these people didn't really know who you were at the time.
You would pull into town and you were just, this is what happened every last Friday of the month at this sports bar. So it wasn't they didn't know who you were. They were more showing up for the event. Like sometimes, like there was a horrible, I forget where, it was someplace in Idaho, and we pulled into town early and we were picking up donuts, and the donut lady goes, "Oh, you guys are the comedians? That place that's where everybody goes. It's going to be," and we're like, "There's going to be people. Awesome." But we found out that the people showed up because after the comedy, it turned into the Tuesday night dance party. And so everybody just showed up early to claim their spots and tables and just sat and just talked and ignored the comedians. Like it was a fight to get them to stop talking and sort of pay attention. Like I think I did like I do a half hour of this, and like you had to like, it was almost like it was the fact that you kept telling jokes and you didn't back down and you kind of tried to bust their balls. They begrudgingly accepted it. Like, okay, this guy's like, because I imagine a lot of comics would just sort of crumble. You know what I mean? Because it's when people they're just completely ignoring you and not paying attention. It's like you're the show going on. It's kind of it's a kick to your ego, if you will.
Interesting. It's a different world. There's no doubt about that. I would imagine that it had its good points, but I'm sure it had, it's difficult, especially coming up with new material and moving from town to town.
Right. It was just kind of trial by fire. Like if you're, I don't know, a band working on a song, you can workshop it and polish it up in the garage. But with a joke, it's kind of, you can run it by people and they'll, "Oh, yeah, I think that's funny," or "That'll work." But I think it's that you have to throw it out there to a crowd and they'll tell you. And to me, it was, I would try a joke like 3 times. I would give it 3 chances. It was like, just like baseball, 3 strikes and you're out. But unless it was something I thought was really funny, I'd try to hang on and keep working. But if 3 crowds in a row kind of said no, then you're like, okay, maybe that was just me, and then just drop it. But it's like you have to fail to figure it out. But when it works, it's amazing. But you have to. I think that's the risk reward. The highs are high, but the lows are low because I don't know, it's a big contrast.
Well, I thought it was a pretty good question, and I figured let's throw it at you and see what you thought.
Yeah, thanks for the question. And yeah, any other, I don't know, comedy questions or aspiring comedians or how to, I like to talk. I'm kind of mentoring, paying it forward. Just like I can tell you my 2 cents or what I've learned or the do's and don'ts. If don't annoy the guy running the show. That's a good little piece of advice.
If anybody wants to get in touch with Kirk, he is at BuckOutKirk on Twitter, and you could always hit us up through our fusedrelativity@gmail.com. But
there
with
you
that,
go. Making the world a funnier place. Good.
With that, let's go over to Kirk's Corner this week and see if he can throw some comedy at us.
Okay. Well, this for Kirk's Corner, I had. Wait, what? Wow, did you put corn dogs that fast? That's why John was so quiet. He was making corn dogs.
No, I did this like Wednesday.
Okay,
And
once
the
again.
goose is somehow more menacing.
Oh, is the goose outside now? And it looks like the goose mowed the grass. It's shorter.
It is.
But he has like a broadsword now.
Was that is? Oh,
Well, I needed something to mow the grass.
We got broadsword. That's cool.
you know, they walk back and forth. They can mow the. Yeah, they. You know what? Good call. Put them to work. They just stand around there anyway.
I almost missed the UAP up there.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Got
Nice.
the scent of mint. It's like it's green.
I like it, John. That's there's a whole bunch of new stuff there this week.
Nice. Yeah.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the YouTube highlights too. That was nice. If you guys haven't seen that, I would recommend.
The room is also a little bit more textured if you like the carpet and the walls.
Oh yeah, you could see it in the carpet.
All right, can I go with more of a, I don't know, a beige? How about a nice throw rug? Can we have a throw rug?
Kirk, you haven't even been able to get a glass of water, so any of your recommendations probably aren't going to fly.
That's true. Nothing as refreshing to a parched throat as two nice corn dogs.
With no condiments.
No dry corn dogs. I'm ready to go now. Okay, so anyway, did you guys saw the clip of the Tour de France where the lady was holding the sign and she caused a big accident that injured some of the riders?
Yep.
Yeah. So that just caught my attention. So that kind of just like first of all, like the Tour de France. Okay, Tour de France. You take a tour of France and you don't even go see the Eiffel Tower. Come on, I'm against it. You sacre blew it. Am I right? And seriously, but actually the sign of the lady, it was for her grandparents. It was like celebrating. It was in honor of her grandparents, and it's amazing because we found out her grandparents were actually assholes. So they totally supported. But no, seriously, like you're the grandparent. You're like, you know what? How about a card next time? You don't need to. Nothing says "I love you, Gammy" than guys in bicycle shorts with skin knees.
Hey, maybe some people are just into that kind of stuff, Kirk.
Right, you're true. You don't want to judge. That's true. But it's just as a bike rider, I'm an officially adult. I'm not sure about you guys. I'm an adult, so I put business cards in my spokes, just because that's what I'm and sidebar. What do you think, motorcycle riders? What do you think they put in their spokes to sound like bicycles?
Bells.
Did I just blow your mind? You think they go bells and the basket of kittens with streamers?
Yep. Or
what?
I said, or they just don't.
Or they don't. Well, did I tell you I had a job once? Did I tell you I had a bike messenger job? Did I tell you this?
No.
Yeah. I was a stationary bike messenger. So it was, people got mad. They never, they had to come to me, which totally defeated. It's a bad business model. Actually, I'm actually looking for a new bike right now, and everyone keeps I haven't ridden a bike in a long time, and it's been like 20 years, and everyone's like, oh, I'm gonna start riding a bike again, and everyone goes, oh, it's just like riding a bike, and I'm like, it doesn't help.
Sure,
you're not. I know your heart's in the right place, but I don't know. That's what we're.
Don't start riding a bike, Kirk. Bikes are lame.
No, it's for exercise and the environment.
Or just fun.
Nothing like having a seat riding up your butt. That's always, yeah.
Yeah.
Silence.
All those corn dogs. It's and bike riding. I can see it. Yeah, bad combo.
Yes.
So is it? Are we? So that's I think Kirk's corner. That's all I
Oh,
had to say
okay.
about bikes.
We were waiting to see if you had more to add about bicycles. I'm anti-bike, which is why, of course, I had to throw that out there.
Unless it can, yes, you need to burn some gas in several ways. That's how you like to travel.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, I've done it again.
Come on, John.
He's just all right. We get it. You're proud of your rocket blasting off.
And I think let's go a little off topic since we are hitting the end of the show, and that got a little spacey. I guess I will go ahead and start. I was just going to talk about the next week is the All-Star game for Major League Baseball. And I thought I'd bring it up just because it's actually here in Denver this year after it switched from Georgia. And the big story that I thought about was let's Coors Fieldify Coors Field and let's get rid of the humidor and take it back to the early 90s for the home run derby. So that, let's just get rid of it. Let's let these guys use some corked bats and see how far the balls will go.
It's the All-Star game. It's supposed to be a spectacle. Put on a show.
So I'm kind of hoping that the home run derby will not disappoint and we can see some monster bombs getting dropped.
The sad part is all the pitchers are still going to be using the sticking stuff, and you're like, "Come on, you're supposed to be the batting coach." No,
well, yeah, the batting coach is throwing with stickum just to mess with the home run derby
just
guy.
To be a jerk, just to ruin everybody's home run derby. What happened? The guy pitched a no-hitter, huh? It was the worst home run derby ever. None.
You're defeating the point here. Come on.
Right. What's the name of the thing we're doing?
And then all the batting coaches would be then suspended for 10 games.
Yeah. I like the idea of the batting, like during the home run derby, just like halfway through, the guy just plunks him just because he's fed up. He's had, you know what? You know what? You hit 17 off me. I'm going to drill you one. Like, come on. It seems like human nature.
There you go. So that was my thing. I'm a little stoked. It's always nice to see the home, All-Star game in your hometown, especially when it's Coors Field, which is one of the better hitter parks in the league. So we'll see how the pitchers do without all their stickum.
Nice. Yes, it should be a fun show. That's a nice the home run derby in Colorado. That's a good idea.
John, did you have a off topic this week?
Not. I meant to bring it up a couple weeks ago, but it was about the Chinese fusion reactor.
I did not hear about this.
And I'm trying to remember. That's what I've been kind of looking for. It was. Yeah, I can't find it. The artificial.
It made a sex video with a celebrity. Is that what I heard?
No, it was. I think it's called The Artificial Sun.
A different story. Okay.
And they got it to 120 million degrees Celsius for 20 seconds.
Doesn't even sound real.
Considering the surface of the sun is 15 million degrees Celsius, yeah. It was
hotter than a sauna, is what you're saying.
Just a little.
A sauna times a billion.
But this is a good thing. It depends on if China is telling the truth about it or not. But fusion reactors are definitely the next big thing.
I feel like that's kind of scary power to wield because it just seems like that could go poorly quickly.
What do you mean?
Like a heat laser kind of thing?
No, just like to get something that ridiculously hot in a controlled environment seems tough. So what are the odds that something bad might happen from it?
Virtually none.
Oh.
And the reason for it is because fusion reactors work off of it's basically a giant magnet and they heat plasma in this magnet, which is I can't remember the name. It's deuterium. It's the I know I'm messing that one up, but it's the hydrogen offset.
So how do they contain something that hot?
The magnets.
Would they ever drop it like it's hot?
So
like it's hot.
what it's basically the temperature is just in the plasma stream, and the plasma stream is held in place inside the reactor by a magnetic field. And essentially, if anything were to happen, even if it exploded, once that magnetic field is gone, that plasma is going to dissipate immediately. It's why we're having so much trouble getting these things running in the first place, because getting the right set of the right circumstances to get that plasma stream stable and that hot is extremely difficult. And if anything happens, it just goes away. Like, sure, if you stuck your hand straight in the middle, it would probably be gone before you could even think about it. But once the safety, or once anything happens, it cools down instantly and that's it.
Huh.
There is radiation, but it's not, it's not like if a fission reactor were to go, something bad would happen.
I'll have to look into that because it sounds interesting, but just the idea that something would be that hot and you wouldn't have any, effect from it just caught me off guard a little bit.
Well, I mean, just, even with like fire. So fire, ridiculously hot. I mean, on orders of magnitude, much smaller than in this, but even, right next to it, you're not going to necessarily feel the exact heat that it was in. And I'm assuming what they're going to do with these reactors is work off the radiant heat that's coming off the plasma stream itself. But yeah, they're fascinating, and France's reactors scheduled to go online soon. But it's definitely going to change power generation in the world.
Well, if it can get us some power, like as far as energy is concerned, we'll take it.
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah.
So, what do you got this week, Kirk? What's up on your docket here?
I saw a story of there was a Walmart employee who, in a Walmart, tackled a deer. Yeah, and the funny part was the senior deer tackler actually called in sick that day. And it was Susie from Mongoose Wrestling that had to come over and do it. It wasn't even her department.
I feel like she should get paid at least an extra $1.
Look at that. That's the transcript of. You want to hear the transcript? Here's actually it goes Shirley deer. So here's what happened. Shirley, the buck stops here. That's what she said when she tackled her. And then the deer goes, "I'm not a buck. I'm a doe." Shirley, shut up, dear Joe. Close enough, dear. Along with those prices, the comedic standards are also falling. Shirley, shut up. And scene. So that's the actual transcript of what happened. And after actually getting tackled by Shirley, the deer said, you know what the deer said?
What's that?
Doe.
Well,
come on.
I feel like, on a serious note, I feel like it takes a pretty ballsy person to tackle a deer.
And they actually said it was so it didn't like hurt itself on the shelves or something. And she was literally just pinning it down, holding it. And also too, but like, what's the matter, dear? You can't support a mom and pop store. You know what I mean? Like you go to the corporate mega store. Like I was more mad at the deer. Just buy local.
Well, maybe because Walmart doesn't sell guns anymore. because they were like, "Oh, okay." Now
Well,
we
that's
can-
what I actually heard, that the deer walked in trying to get a firearm for defense purposes for hunting season, and then she found out they didn't make it anymore, and she was like, "Oh, she didn't keep up. She missed that that news."
I feel like I'm just going off of myself, but if I was in a Walmart and I saw a deer, my first instinct would not be to tackle it.
Season, like, she just avoided it or something. I'm surprised nobody shot it. And also, you know what? The Walmart, the corporation, is forcing the employee to write an apology letter to the deer for injury suffered. So they're actually making the employee write a dear letter. Okay.
All right.
Come on. That was the last one. I had to get that in. Come on. A dear letter. You're not going to hear that anyplace else but Fuzed Relativity.
Almost guaranteed.
I would wager $1 on it. All right.
Oh dear. All right. So, with that, John, we didn't get to it. I did want to talk about the Hubble this week, but you know what? There's always next week, hopefully, for the Hubble, but it's not looking good. So maybe next week we tie in a little bit of the Hubble James Webb talk, because there was some information.
Can we have an in memorial? Can we have like a slideshow, which is funny on a podcast, so that you won't be able to see it? With just like touching music and just here's pictures that the Hubble sent to, I don't know, Sarah McLachlan singing a sad song.
Right. We'll make it happen. John's got the ability.
Right. We did the corndog challenge. We can do this. Look at this. Look at Fuzed Relativity going for, and was it 18 today?
Episode 18.
18. We're getting close to getting to the 20 barrier. Looking out. 19, nothing happens exciting when you're 19, but 20, it's you're not a teenager anymore.
We'll have to see if we can plan something special for episode 20. It just seems like a good round number to do a special episode.
Yeah, maybe a new song.
Or
we'll work on that.
Most people 25.
That's when you can rent a car. That's the important one.
Yeah, we're not most people. We're going to stick with 20 because why not?
Oh. I like that. We're not most people.
Anyway, so yes, next week we'll talk a little more about the Hubble and the James Webb and get back into that. But good episode, everybody. I hope you have a good 4th of July. Try not to blow off your hands and fingers with fireworks.
Yes, stay safe.
Stay safe. And make sure you do eat some real American hot dogs. And, have some hamburgers. We're doing a nice smoked tri-tip sandwiches. And probably a few cold beverages. So I will be doing that and looking forward to the show next week. So Chris, John, and Kirk, I hope everybody has a happy holiday.
Have a good one.